Hello and welcome to Pitt Street Research. My name is Stuart Roberts and I'm one of the co-founders of our firm. And joining me from Sydney on the morning of Monday, the 28th of April 2025, is John Kelly, who's the CEO of Atomo Diagnostics. AT1 is the code for that one. John, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Now is a good time to be you, John. Every month I look and I see another step forward for the world's easiest to use diagnostic platform, which is what you're the best in the world at. You've just announced a particular initiative where HIV self-testing will now be available in vending machines, something I never thought I'd live to see. Tell us how that initiative came about.
Yeah, well, we were the first and we're still the only company to bring HIV self-testing to the Australian market. We're the only TGA approved test on ARTG, but there wasn't really an established channel. The challenge of being first to market with a new product, I suppose. So we've worked pretty hard with various stakeholders in the community to work out how best to get self-tests into the hands of those that need to use them, and that's typically people that aren't going to facility-based clinics regularly. So we've worked on a number of programs that were pilots that then became kind of case studies for the federal government to fund the national scale-up of. And one of them was a mail home online direct to your door system, and the other one that started off in universities but has expanded beyond that was a kind of free to user vending machine deployment program where the user just needed a code. So they get the code, they put the code into the machine, they get a free test.
Right. So HIV testing was the foundation of this company, following on from your original vision of diagnostics that were really easy to use, really easy to assemble. But you're now getting ahead of steam in terms of really building out the pipeline. And the thing that's got me particularly excited is the work that you've done with the Bird Institute in Melbourne on syphilis testing. World's first diagnostic which would be able to detect active syphilis rather than just historic syphilis infections. And you've now got an exclusive license on that technology. So the sky's the limit now.
Well, yeah, we're very excited about that. I mean, syphilis rates have gone up dramatically over the last 15 to 20 years. And there's a number of reasons for that, but it's now a significant public health concern in a way that it maybe wasn't 20 years ago. For us, syphilis makes a lot of sense because it's got a similar user group to HIV and very similar both public health and consumer channels to market. So it was a natural sort of menu extension for us. As you mentioned, existing rapid tests in the market for syphilis are antibody tests, which means they'll detect syphilis, but they'll also be reactive for prior treated syphilis. So if you've had it before or you're at risk of having had it before, those rapid tests are very ineffective. The test that we're developing with Burnett is specific for active syphilis, so it distinguishes between current infection and prior treated infection, and that gives it enormous clinical utility to be able to test and treat in a single visit, we believe. And also the fact that it's on the Atomo easy-to-use platform, the integrated device that we've got for usability, means it's also ideally suited for self-test, which is a big challenge with the other leading tests in the market. So we think it ticks a number of very unique boxes. It's a global problem, and we believe it's got the opportunity to be the go-to rapid test solution for syphilis globally.
Right. So not only have we got multiple different indications building out, there's an interesting regulatory opportunity coming up in 2025. A company called Lumos Diagnostics are using your technology, namely the Pascal platform, for their diagnostic, and they're about to get clear waiver from the FDA. Tell us how that's significant for you.
I'm not sure they're about to get clear waiver. That makes it sound like it's imminent, and I don't know what the timing on that looks like. But certainly they've got.
Look, I'm an ex-broker. I'm optimistic all the time.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I'm optimistic too. It's a really good test. It distinguishes between viral and bacterial infection. It's 510(k) cleared in the US for use in certain clinics, but clear waiver allows it to be used much more broadly. So typically, clear waiver will expand your addressable market in the US by 500 or 600%. So it's a very, very big approval for them for that product, and on our Pascal platform, it gives us an approval that we can point to for other potential partners that want to access the technology, as well as using that approval for our own products as well. So it's an enormous opportunity for us in the US market. That clinical study that they're running is ongoing. It's been ongoing for several months. I don't have the results, interim results, but certainly, if it goes to plan, then a clear waiver submission to FDA later in the year is I believe on track. So yeah, we're very excited about that. It opens up the US market for clear waiver, which is the largest by far single market opportunity in the US and by default globally. And
Right.
to have our
Let's just
platform
wrap a
approved
bit of
there would be
details around
enormous.
this. So to be waived from the usual CLIA requirements. Now, CLIA, clinical laboratory, I can't remember what the INA stand for.
Yeah, so
But
it basically means if you've only got a 510K, it's called moderately complex. It means it can be used in any clinical setting which has this quality certification in place over the top of the clinic. That typically is large clinics and hospitals, right? So
right,
that's still a very big market. But if you want to get into the more decentralized professional testing, your rapid Minuteman clinics, your pharmacy retail clinics, your single doctor office out in the suburbs type environments, which is the majority of professional settings, then you need CLIA waiver, which basically means the test is easy enough to be used that somebody who's not a clinical expert can do it reliably. And that's where our device, our usability really comes into play and delivers a level of performance that bits in a box, multi-component cassette format type kits don't deliver. And that's why, we're very excited about getting that approval when it
right.
comes.
Yeah. So huge, huge validation for your technology. It'll be great for Lumos when they finally get that because they can address a huge market, and it'll
Yeah,
be
they've
great
they've
for
got a
subsequent.
number of regional and national distributors lined up for that product already selling it, but obviously Clear Waiver unlocks a big market. So that in itself would be really, positive for us. And then obviously being able to get other tests approved off the back of that gives us enormous scope. It's also a stepping stone to an OTC home approval. On the platform, we've got self-test approvals outside of the US. We believe this would be a stepping stone to getting, we hope, the first of many self-test approvals in the US, and that would be, a market-leading position if we could get our technology into that channel.
Right. Important development for Atomo will be the ability to work with multiple diagnostic testing platforms to be able to take what you've developed here in Sydney and elsewhere, and then give it to any provider of diagnostics and enable it to quickly adapt to that platform. Now that's easier said than done in that everyone has their own standards, if you like, for their platform.
Yeah.
But a few months ago, you were able to talk to the market tentatively about what's coming there. What are the challenges that you'll face to reach that level of usability?
Yeah, I think the challenge with being adaptable to different products in the market is not that it's a technical challenge for us to do it, but the more we have to change, the more that partner has to revalidate and reapprove in terms of the regulatory approval. So what we've tried to do is make our device modifiable so that the test that we sort of support doesn't have to change. And by
Right.
not having to change the wet chemistry or the assay, we limit the amount of revalidation and regulatory reapproval that partner needs to go through to move to our platform. So essentially, we try to remove the barriers to them adopting our technology because our technology, we can prove, delivers much better usability. It delivers much better user preference. But balanced against that is the cost and effort that a partner has to go through to be able to move on to our platform, to upgrade. So what we've done is some things that allow us to essentially do the customization on our side so that they don't have to do as much or nearly as much customization or rework on their side. And that, we think, removes the barriers to adoption that will drive significant upside in our OEM business.
Right. So you've been working on that customization at your end or customization systems at your end for a while. How
Yeah.
satisfied are you with your progress?
Yeah, we're really happy. I mean, the core technology, the core IP remains the same. So our ability to collect and deliver the accurate volume of blood, to have the onboard buffer reagent delivered, button activated, all of that core functionality stays the same. Really what's changed is the mechanical interface with their test. So we kind of skin the device that's compatible with their test cassette, but the actual Atomo core IP remains unchanged. So that allows us to deliver custom solutions that actually aren't that custom in terms of the functionality and IP that we have.
Right. You recently raised some capital, which gives you the chance to go after a lot of these opportunities in a more serious way. That came with a couple of new directors who've come on board. Talk to us about the new talent that's come and joined you.
Yeah, no, so we're very happy to have raised some growth capital. we have a number of opportunities. We have products that we want to bring to market. The good thing about the syphilis test is the development's fully funded through a government CRCP grant. So we're not putting money into the syphilis program, but we do want to get this Florey clip-in user cassette on the market. We have other opportunities that we're working on. So certainly this capital is very useful for that. We've had a couple of directors come onto the board and some directors that have served very well moving on. And I think that board renewal is recognizing the fact that a company's moving more into a go-to-market commercial phase, and the new incoming directors have a lot of specific IVD diagnostics experience, both in Australia and internationally. And that, I think, allows us to work towards the market opportunities that they can potentially help unlock with their background, network, and knowledge. So yeah, really excited to have some new directors coming on that have a lot of industry know-how and expertise, and obviously very grateful for the tireless work that the outgoing directors have put into the business. In particular, John Keith, the chairman, who's been there from very early days and helped us get to market and listed.
So we were talking before we pressed the button about how timely a lot of what you've been doing is compared to trends in the marketplace. Telehealth has become an increasingly important part of medicine. It's the 28th of April as we speak. And just yesterday, the Prime Minister announced as part of his campaign for re-election that he wants to fund Medicare so that there's now a 1-800 Medicare service. By the time this interview goes to air, we'll know whether the government's in a position to do that. What's interesting to me is if you're going to allow patients to access more services via telehealth, the same's got to be true for diagnostics. The patients have got to get hold of those diagnostics easily. Well, you're front and center for that kind of initiative.
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of who wins the next election, that trend to decentralized healthcare is underway and unstoppable. And that's not just in Australia, that's global. I think technology has made that more feasible. I think the pandemic has kind of burst a couple of bubbles that were considered unburstable in terms of how patients can access healthcare, and diagnostics certainly is in that category.
Plus, you wielded a couple of pins to help burst that bubble at the time.
We always felt that facilities-based healthcare was expensive. It limited the amount of people that could get treatment because there was a funnel through a door type blockage to treatment, and anything that takes treatment away from the clinic, I think, unburdens the clinics and allows the clinics to focus on the cases that they need to see. The more complicated cases in the follow-up. So, there's a lot of examples of testing being done at home. A lot of people on PrEP are now getting their PrEP prescription sent home. That's removing the need for them to come into sexual health clinics and tie up booking appointments unnecessarily. So yeah, there's a transition now to decentralized healthcare, and I think telehealth is critical to that. And I'm not surprised that the government is looking to scale that up. I think during the COVID pandemic, it was shown to be not only effective but very cost effective, and it allows for more money to be spent delivering healthcare and less money spent administering healthcare.
So, Prime Minister, if you're listening, as part of your initiative to strengthen Medicare, you need to go meet John Kelly of Atomo, because he's got some great ideas for you.
Well, the Australian government's already, very supportive. They're probably our biggest HIV self-test customer. They're funding the NAPWHA mail home program. They're funding the scale up of the vending machine programs. I think they recognise that self-testing is an efficient way to reach people, and they've been very supportive of the product and the work that we've been doing.
Absolutely. Well, John Kelly, well done on the recent capital raising, moving this company further. So we're not just surviving, but we're actually growing. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for joining
Pitt Street Research.